jumping into the beginning to say, I think I might have forgotten to mention the fact that the entire time that the MAGA base has been so obsessed with the Epstein case as if it's some kind of bombshell against anybody other than Trump. It's the most hypocritical, crazy, delusional, ass backwards. Like, it never made sense to me. It was done. I was eating my dessert, coffee flavored oat milk vegan ice cream. And I was also at the same time eating a vegan yogurt with this as a topping. Not sponsored. And I wanted to make a couple of quick notes before I get into the rest of this video, which I thought was going to be 20 minutes. It's about an hour now. They kept something I can't read for themselves. Maybe why so... Oh my God, I can't even read it. Oh. The officials in Texas who are very cagey and will not answer those questions about when did those signals go out, why weren't there signals, etc., etc., and they keep getting really mad about being asked those questions and pushing it off and deflecting, saying they're not pushing it off and deflecting. Then
reports allege
some officials said
when Obama and Biden were president,
we are not going to take this money and do what you want us to do with it because we don't want to be tied into Biden or Obama and your regulations and shit. But if what I saw was true, which it's still to be investigated and proven, but allegedly they kept the money. They said, oh, we're not going to take the money and do what you want us to do with it and get safety systems and stuff. We're going to keep the money, though, because we're not going to let you just give it to a Democratic state. And then they ended up taking some of the money to give raises to certain personnel
themselves,
but not using it to fix anything for the people. And if that's true, and they also allegedly have about $30 billion, somewhere between $20 to $30 billion sitting that they refuse to use for those counties that now have all those deaths. And then the second thing was one of the guys I saw in the video who was down there, he was saying that when he said that he was shocked that FEMA didn't have a station set up like he's seen in every other freaking disaster he's ever covered over many decades. And the only groups down there helping are religious organizations, churches. And when the fuck is FEMA going to show up? Oh, and Trump apparently, when he was interviewed by his daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, in a very conflict-free interview, right? Very hard-hitting questions, I'm sure. He did seem to, and even though he said to the reporter who asked him about the signaling system, and I know I'm giving them free advertising, and he said only an evil person would ask a question like that, but then yet he did say to Lara that, well, maybe they should have some bells. So hopefully something will take that motherfucker down and all those fucking rats that he surrounded himself with too.
GetLoveDreamingBeach.com.
How are you? It's kind of crazy lighting. I have my green lamp flickering within the purple, and as you can see these lights behind me, I'm kind of thinking I might shift and go back to my desk, but I'm sitting on my bed and I just wanted to be cozy for a minute. Hi, how are you? This is going to be a mishmash, a variety chat. I've just been kind of, again, like not super motivated to make a video, but yet I do want to make a video because I want to keep my channel going, and a lot's been going on, and I thought that I would chime in with my opinion. So the first thing I want to talk about is the thing that I have been obsessively watching and trying to find updates about, which is the 4th of July flood in Texas. That is such a tragedy. My heart goes out to all of the victims, all of the family and friends, the whole community, and the entire state. And it's really highlighted to me that even in the most MAGA country, even little white Catholic, rich little white Catholic MAGA girls,
Actually, I think they were Christian.
are not protected under Trump's administration. And the people who Trump and the people who are in charge, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about nobody, not even their own base, not even the heart of MAGA land, Christian, rich, white, little babies at a Christian camp. Christy fucking dog puppy killer gnome, she didn't even fucking bother to send people out there for 3 days. And I just watched a video. I've been watching videos incessantly since Friday. Yeah, I should move actually, because this lighting is kind of crazy. So let's see. I'll go back over here to my desk. So I've been watching videos, and by the way, apologies if it's loud because I have on the air conditioning and like 2 fans. Please hold. Let me get situated over here. I'm gonna light an incense. One of my favorite kinds. Not sponsored, but I need to get it. Turn on this. And then I'll need to turn on my light in front of me. But dim it down. So I have been watching videos since Friday. Those are all my clothes on my bed. Clean clothes. And I got a different kind of tide, and it smells like fucking mothballs. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Well, that's actually there, not here, but okay, distracted. Let me light my incense and get back. So actually, while I light this incense, let's have a moment of reflection for the victims. What a preventable tragedy. So, let me put on my material things while I talk about loss. My sister made this though. Isn't it beautiful? So, it's not really just material things. These are sentimental things. I personally believe that the cuts to FEMA, the 600 plus fired employees. My sister also made this one. I heard, so like I said, I've been watching videos all week since Friday the 4th, Saturday the 5th, Sunday the 6th, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It is now Saturday, July 12th. It's 8:13 p.m. And it's been my obsession all week because I'm just, well, you know, there's the morbid fascination part, but for me, it's not about being entertained. It's just such a horrific tragedy, and I've just been so focused on it. And I noticed how at first they were just making it all about those little white Christian rich girls. And then after, like, days were coming, stories and more stories and days going by, and I'm like, oh my God, there was like camps filled with a lot of children who were not white, but we didn't hear about that in the news. And even the number of missing people was just like so focused on the 27 girls, when the number of people who've passed away at this time is like 120 confirmed, and there's like 170 or so missing, and there's potentially many more that they don't know about yet. And when you look at the destruction, oh my God, it's so painful. It's so painful to see and to think about what they went through, all those people, and all the people who didn't survive, and all the stories all the survivors are telling about hearing people screaming and stuck in RVs, and children and all, kids and adults screaming, and in their cars floating away, in RVs floating away, entire houses floating down a river, people helpless. Like they said that in one area it was as high as 37 feet of river. That's incredible. That is terrifying. And in Camp Mystic, it was 26 feet, and they said that it rose within, some places I've heard 45 minutes, some it's 90 minutes. But the fact is that there were reports, and they went unheeded, and then there was like calls going crazy, and there was even a request for they said a volunteer firefighter requested they do the code red, and it was 90 minutes until anything came through, and people died, and it was so preventable. And then you've got the evil Trump getting up there and literally saying to a reporter who's saying the families of the lost are asking why there wasn't, why there weren't sirens, and why. And his response is, only an evil person would ask that. They did a great job. And then the governor Abbott, like treating them like first graders, and some fucking stupid curse word person commenting back like, well, if they don't want them to treat them like children, then maybe they shouldn't act like children. I'm like, have you ever in your life seen a press conference? I just saw a press conference with Donald Trump in one of the videos I was watching from like a day or two ago, when from Friday, yesterday, when he finally decided to show up without the FEMA director in Texas. And they were screaming. That's just how they do. They scream to try to be heard, and then they pick somebody, and then they ask their question. Is it a best system? No, but they don't all have mics. Like, what do you expect? I don't know. Oh, I do know what they expect. They expect North Korea. They expect what is it now? The Democratic People's, wait. Hey Siri, what is North Korea called now?
North Korea is officially known as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, DPRK. This is from Wikipedia.
The Democratic People's Republic. Oh my God. That's fucking crazy. DPRK, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Wow. The Democratic. And I just happened to see a video today of a couple. They said that they were amateur athletes, and they were going with their group of 20 other amateur athletes to North Korea for 5 days, and they were pretty scared and nervous, and they had to be very careful of what they said and did, and when they had their phone out, and what they recorded and where they recorded, and if the great leader's pictures or painting or statue was anywhere nearby, they had to make sure to have the whole thing included in a photo or a video. And all of the monuments were just so like, oh my God, it's like that much money and energy spent just to worship somebody who is not doing shit for you, and you're doing it because you're fucking scared of being killed if you say the wrong thing. And so everybody just acts so civilized because they're terrified. And that's really creepy to me. And knowing that that's what Trump wants. I mean, he has said, you know, how Korea's people stand straight up. That's what I want. And he's not joking about it. And, you know, people say like, oh my God, why didn't he go to Texas right away? And how could Kristi Noem not send FEMA? And as I was saying, I saw a video where one of the reporters who's there, and he said he's been to many, let me try to sit up straight. He's been to many disasters. And he said, and so the other reporter said, you know, well, what's different about this one? You know, is there something different about this one? And he said, yes, usually, always, there is a central place for information, for gathering, for press conferences. Everybody goes to this one central place that FEMA goes and they set up. And then all the volunteers and everything else, you know, they of course, it's not like they don't have other spots, but that FEMA is always there, like the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Like they're managing the emergency federally with their agency and the agency that the agency has. And so Kristi Noem and Donald Trump took away the agency of the agency when she, and obviously Donald Trump, like I'm sure she didn't just do it on her own. None of his people really, I mean, maybe they do wild shit on their own, but they don't do it without knowing that he's cool with it, you know? Like they're doing it because, like, he's cool with it, they're cool with it, you know? Like how he may or may not have known that maybe Pete Hegseth stopped sending weapons and ammunitions to Ukraine to defend themselves. And when he was asked, when he said, like, oh, we're going to start to send the stuff back, and the reporter was like, well, who stopped? And he was like, I don't know, why don't you tell me? What's her name? Kristen something. Like, what do you mean, why don't I tell you, motherfucker? She didn't say that. That's my ad lib. And then, like, it's so insane. It's so insane. It's like watching a Benny Hill show. Do you guys remember that? Benny Hill, my dad, rest in heaven, atheist heaven. He used to watch Benny Hill. And it was like this absurd show with, like, you know, it was like, what was that song? I can hear it in my head, but anyway, I'm not going to try to hum it, but I just feel like it's like just so absurd. It's like a parody. It's like a slapstick parody, but at the same time, it's so evil. And it's so George Orwellian, like 1984, you know, like everything is opposite. Like the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, which is actually a like an evil dictatorship where people are zero free, and they have to pretend to worship someone that they probably despise and wish was dead, but they have no freedoms at all. You know, I mean, the streets are clean and the people look clean and it looks safe. If living in terror is safe. And I'm just so, part of me, I'm so scared. I'm so disgusted. Like my heart's churning. My stomach is churning. I talked to a friend of mine that I haven't talked to in forever because he's got 2 kids, a husband, and a job. And I've got 2 kids and multiple clients and shit and a bunch of shit I'm doing. And, you know, my passion for making videos, that burning desire, record me, baby. You know, anyway. Make your fire go higher. Abracadabra. I'm gonna reach out and grab you. Okay, so I'm getting distracted because I wanted to talk a lot about a lot of things. I wanted to talk about Jeffrey Epstein and MAGA freaking out apparently about it, and how I think that's just ludicrous, and it's like I've been watching a lot of political videos, but I'm getting sick of it. And I was saying, my friend, like I was telling her, you know, I didn't really mention to her how I'm kind of like over watching about true crime and trials, and I was wondering what was going to get my attention next, and it happens to be this Texas flood. And I've learned, you know, because I watch various channels and I've been seeking out, none of the people that I normally watch are really talking about it. So I've just been like looking on YouTube for who is talking about it. And there's a lot of, like, it seems like there's 85 billion little Fox stations. And then there's like a lot of local stations, and, you know, there's like, whatever, there's a lot of stuff on YouTube you can find if you look for it. So, I've been shocked at how the sheriff won't answer questions, the governor won't answer questions. They are reporting, like various people are reporting about when the NWS, the National Weather Service, which has been like at least, so I think they were saying it's been like 20 to, I don't remember exactly the number, 20 to 30% employees slashed. And FEMA has had like billions of dollars diverted away from helping emergencies in Texas. And in North Carolina there was flooding, and in New Mexico there was flooding, and it's being diverted. They're using power to create political fear in California, where they don't need to, in neighborhoods where kids and families live, and going to parks to terrorize you as citizens and people who happen to live here. And then they're building concentration camps in Florida so that they can have human beings eaten by alligators and shit and die in horrific ways. And that's what the government is doing, and they're not going to help you. The people who, America first, remember you said America first, make America great again. What about those little white MAGA Christian rich kids? They didn't even care about them. And then I learned on Tabitha Speaks, is it Tabitha Speaks Politics? Something, I think that's what it is. And she shared a post, and then there's some audio of people in I don't know if it's Careville or Care County in Texas. Careville or Care, Kerr. And so this is a fucked up story. Apparently, Obama and Biden gave them money to fix shit for safety for their people. And these fucking motherfuckers, these MAGA bitches, these Republicans, they got up on some recorded thing and they said, I don't want your money. I don't want to have to do your regulations. I don't want to be, I don't want to take your money and have to do your mandates. But then guess what? They took the money anyway and they gave themselves raises. And they didn't do none of the safety things. I saw a couple of articles that Dick Strickland, I think that was his name, rest in peace, he was the director of the camp. I saw a couple things that it said he'd been fighting for a decade to get safety sirens and stuff. But then at the same time, I've seen that there's reports that are saying that somebody, I don't know who it was it him, was it city officials? They fought to have, so apparently FEMA had like a flood zone, a floodplain map, and there was like 15 of the cabins, or let's say 10, 9 cabins, some amount of cabins that were in that zone.
What did you find?
What we found was a significantly higher risk of flooding in this camp and in this area than the federal government has ever reported. We found that a number of the cabins had an expectation that if a serious storm came, they were going to be inundated. And yet FEMA's maps, what Americans depend on to know whether or not they have a flood risk, were not showing this risk. And so when we went and looked at a number of maps that are done by private companies, you can see that if a serious storm came, that this place would be underwater, not only in the main camp, but also off into the new camp that they built recently. And some of these are done by private companies like First Street in New York, which was able to show where they expected the water to come.
Why the difference? Why did these private companies pick it up and FEMA not?
FEMA does not map rainfall. They are not mapping flash flooding. And they're also not looking forward into what sort of climate predictions might be there coming. FEMA is looking backward. FEMA does not have the mandate from Congress to do this work, and they don't have the funding to do this. So there are wonderful scientists at FEMA that are capable of doing this. They have some of the best data scientists in the world, but they are not mapping this risk the way a lot of the private companies are saying, look, this is a serious problem.
The Associated Press had a story out this morning that said that a number of buildings at Camp Mystic had been taken off the list. Because you write in your investigation that there are special interests that can appeal. How does that work?
NPR and PBS Frontline, we're also reporting this. We have the documents that show that this camp pulled these buildings out of the floodplain. They're saying, we don't want to have these in this risky area, so can you just take them out of your map? And FEMA granted this request for multiple buildings back 15 years ago. This is a significant problem because if you are in the floodplain, then you are required, if you are in a community that belongs to this program and you have a federally backed mortgage, you are required to build to a flood standard. That usually means elevating your house so that you can survive a significant storm like this, a significant flood that's coming through. And if you're outside the flood maps, you don't have to do that work. And that is why a lot of communities sometimes ask to come out of it, and even private owners like this camp requested to come out of the floodplain. And we can see the impact that had.
And to be clear, they want to get out of the floodplain on paper, but in reality, they're still in it.
Exactly. They're still in this very dangerous area. This is happening not just at Camp Mystic, but across the country. More than 2 times as many Americans have a flood risk, that millions of Americans that don't even know they have a flood risk. And that's because FEMA's maps have not been updated with this new information. Because
you said this is also an issue in North Carolina when Hurricane Helene moved through.
Absolutely. When we were in North Carolina covering Helene, 98% of the people that were affected by the storm were not in FEMA's flood maps. This means that not only if they're not in the flood map, they may not have been required to build in a way that could have helped them survive the storm, but also they may not have belonged to the National Flood Insurance Program because there wasn't a requirement for them to do so. And so they're out of luck in that way, too, when it comes to rebuilding.
What's it take to fix this? Legislation?
We found in our reporting that Congress needs to fund this program. They need to fund FEMA to do these maps. But there's a lot of pushback to having these maps updated. A lot of politicians don't want to be the ones that will increase flood insurance rates for people across the country. But we also found in our reporting that the National Association of Home Builders, home developer lobby groups, even sometimes the National Association of Realtors are saying we don't want to see these maps necessarily updated because they want to keep, they say, homes affordable.
And now with FEMA in limbo under the Trump administration, changes likely, unlikely?
The cuts to FEMA are making it difficult from the insiders we've talked to do the work that they want to do. But it is also going to undermine the agency's ability to insist on flood map changes and also insist on resilient building. And there's a lot of feeling at this point that this administration is looking to roll back some of the requirements for how people build for a flood.
Laura Sullivan of NPR, thank you very much.
Thanks.
And instead of moving the cabins out of the zone, they said, let's change the zone. And they said, okay, the zone is less, we're making the danger zone smaller. And then they built cabins in the zone that was actually, like, they call it the floodplain, which is, I guess, like, this is where the fucking water's going when it's coming, and it's coming. And there was some guy who said he's a river restorator, river restorer, something like that. Him and his wife lived, but like he said that, so I guess somehow, because maybe he's used to, he said he's lived there all his life, he knows about it, he knew how to move, he moved beforehand. He got him and his wife and his RV out of the way, you know, on safe ground, and then all of the people in the neighborhood where they'd been living got washed away. And he said he didn't know any of them. He didn't really know any of them personally, but he knew, some of them he kind of knew, and then he knew people who knew somebody. Like, he knew people who had passed away. And he said, you know, even though he didn't know most of the people in the RVs, they heard them screaming and being ripped away in the water, and that was super traumatizing. But the other thing that he said, and again, I was watching a whole bunch of videos on YouTube. I don't know exactly like what channel. These were like local channels, so I gotta plug in my phone. My kids will be home soon. Oh, okay, so he said he lived there his whole life. He knows the river. And he said that the river needs to be, I don't know if restored was the word, but like, it has to be maintained. He said river, if you're going to live by a river, it has to be maintained. And then he's made it sound so easy about, he's like, you can build sirens one every mile, and then you put sensors in the river every mile, and then, you know, you sync them up and you have some kind of system. I mean, he made it sound like, he said, it's not that hard. You can do it. You just have to fund it. And they've been trying to fund it. So my ultimate thoughts are, is this going to matter? Are those Republicans who lost their daughters and their family members, their mothers, their wives, some people lost their entire family. Some entire families were lost. I think when it's all said and done, it's going to be almost 300. I mean, there was one person who was a local person who was searching, who knew about that stuff. He said he thinks it's going to be about 500 people. And what's so scary and terrifying is when you look at the damage and you see it was like a 30-foot river going, God knows how many miles an hour, and went across like 80 miles worth of, like, just took entire RV parks and crunched them into like millions of trees. It's just so terrifying and sad. And then at the same time, you've got supposedly MAGA is like, you know, you're like, oh, MAGA is upset about this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, but tomorrow they're not going to care because Trump is saying it doesn't matter. we live in some insane times where these rich, powerful people can just be absolutely crazy, deranged, hateful murderers. And little old me, I'm just trying to clean up my apartment, feed myself and my kids, earn enough money so I can live somewhere decent. Now having new landlords who are trying to get me out of my apartment, when getting out of here means that I'm going to have to increase my income in a real way, and I don't know if that's going to happen right now or not, or if I can fight and stay, and that's what I'm dealing with. This is a comment I made on this video. I still don't believe Virginia, as in Virginia Giuffre, took her own life. Betty Boop wrote, me neither. And then Kathleen wrote, yeah, I mean, she said herself she would never. She had kids. I believed her, which shocked me. I didn't know that. And then I looked it up and I found she did. OMFG, she did. Heartbreak. In 2019, she wrote, I am making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist and GP. If something happens to me, in the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me to protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quieted, Giuffre wrote in 2019. So, but what's crazy is that I posted this comment 3 times. Look, and it disappeared. This is the 4th time this comment disappeared. I even put the little asterisks between the S and the L of the word suicidal to see if maybe that's why the comment was getting blocked. However, it kept getting blocked. Also, I just wanted to add that the reporter who is reporting on these Epstein interviews, I don't know, something about him comes across shady. Like specifically he said so-called victims about actual victims. So he's shady to me. See, it's gone again. That is insane. I don't know why that comment keeps being deleted. The entire time that the MAGA base has been so obsessed with the Epstein case as if it's some kind of bombshell against anybody other than Trump. It's the most hypocritical, crazy, delusional, ass backwards. Like, it never made sense to me because, I mean, yeah, they said that Clinton was on the plane a few times, but Clinton isn't president now. He's not running. He's not in power. Maybe he still has some influence and maybe he's still a wealthy, powerful person, but he's certainly not running the government. So, you know, and if it came out that Clinton did terrible stuff and he was an abuser, first of all, why would that be hard to believe? We already know what happened with Monica Lewinsky. Now, she was a grown-up, I think, but he obviously took advantage of the power dynamics, okay? So anyway, like, most likely there's people from both sides of political parties and political spectrums who are in these documents. And as somebody else said, nobody needs there to be like a list that says Jeffrey Epstein's client list and like a list of names. But if you go through the files, you can make a list of names because there'll be names in there and you can see who did what or who testified to what. And there's the list. I also saw a video which did not name any lists, but said that there were 11,000 pings of cell phones visiting Jeffrey's Island, and it showed all the places on the island, and it literally showed where they flew in from, and then it continued to follow where they went back home. And they were in Texas and in New York, and they were in Florida, and where was there was like a couple of other places. Oh, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, and they were able to see. So those are the people. That's the list. Why would they hide it? Because a few things I saw, people making comments. Why would Trump ever give himself up, first of all? And why would he give up the leverage of being able to bribe and blackmail and terrorize and extort whoever he now knows is on the list, plus him? What I just can't get over, my liberal mind cannot fathom, nor understand, nor make sense of why MAGA cares. They don't care about children. If they cared about children, they would have never had Trump in there in the first place, because he already has been proven to be a rapist and an abuser. He used to abuse those girls in the teen pageants, the beauty pageants.
My daughter is beautiful, Ivanka.
By the way, your daughter.
She's beautiful.
Can I say this? A piece of ass.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, I go out with somebody, and she's like 21, and she's talking about, what are you doing? And she's studying algebra. And
So what?
And it's like, it was always embarrassing for me to walk in. It's too young. 30 is like a perfect age.
Absolutely. She has enough life experience.
Until she's 35.
Too much life experience.
Yeah, what is it at 35, Howard? It's called checkout time.
And you're probably, I would say, the greatest judge of beauty on this planet. In fact, I would create a TV show for you where all you did was just judge women.
Now, that may be the best idea of all.
It's a simple thing. It's a half hour, and we strip it out all over the country.
I would say I'm the all-time judge.
You own this pageant. You go over. You're meeting the girls and stuff. One of them comes up to you and says, "Mr. Trump, you're a very sexy man.
You're a beautiful man. You have fantastic hair.
Well, you're a powerful man, right? Right? You're a powerful man.
Right.
I want to sleep with you." Now, you're not the type that would say no.
I don't want to hurt their feelings.
Right. No, but I mean, you see a beautiful woman, you want to have that. You're a guy who likes to have everything, right?
Well, couldn't that be construed, however, as
conflict?
Yes.
Well, I don't see it as a conflict.
It could be a conflict of interest, but it's the kind of thing you worry about later.
Oh, I see.
You tend to think about the conflict a little bit later on.
The question is, how can it not be construed?
No, I mean, some of these foreign girls, Mr. Trump, in my country, we say hello with vagina. And,
well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting.
Right,
I want to make sure that
you're like
everything
a
is
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
Girls. They were girls, teenagers, not women. There are so many. There's 26 official complaints against him, and God knows how many hundreds, if not thousands, of other girls and young women that he has harmed in some way. And speaking of E. Jean Carroll, she just won both appeals again. She won the first case against him, 5-something million. She won the second case against him, 88 million. Then he appealed. She won the appeals. Because he did it. He did it. And it's been proven again and again and again and again. That woman is in her 80s. She said any money, any pennies, any dollars, anything that she comes in money that she gets, she said she's not keeping a penny of it. She's already set up a foundation. It's going to help the causes that he hates the most and help women. And she's already rich. She was rich in the first place. She was shopping in Bergdorf's. She knew him because she was a wealthy, successful person and she was running in those circles. He is such an insane psychopath. Now he wants to revoke Rosie O'Donnell. Wait, let me check this out. Yes, Trump threatens to revoke Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship because she knows shit about him and Epstein. And apparently she moved to Ireland to get away from him, and she has an autistic child that she's taking care of and keeping safe. And he hates her because she called him out many years ago. I saw a clip on YouTube or something of Martha Stewart and Joan Rivers talking about, they were on a show cooking, and obviously old, and okay, so Joan Rivers died in Manhattan at age 81 in 2014, so over 11 years ago. And so it was before that. So it was the old thing, and they were saying something. Joan said, "Oh, somebody mentioned something about Trump steaks," and and she was like, "Oh yeah." And Joan said, "Well, I can't eat Trump." And then, Martha Stewart was laughing, and then Martha said, then Joan said, "Well, they said we didn't slaughter Trump," and then Martha said, "Too bad, ha ha ha, I put my 2 cents in." And then she was like, "Oh, everybody loves Trump." But what I just can't get over is it just doesn't make any sense. First of all, it didn't make any sense that they being MAGA, somehow believed that anything about the Jeffrey Epstein case was good for Trump and not terrible for Trump. It never made sense. The fact that they cognitively dissonated themselves from the reality that Trump and Epstein were besties for like 15 years. They partied together. They were with young girls together. They did all kinds of nasty shit. They probably fucked each other up. Curse word, nasty, X-rated, bleep, bleep, censored to each other. God knows what they did and thought was cool and funny and laughed about. It was fucking absolute sick, twisted psychos. Abusers, psychopaths, sadistic people. So I guess that's all I really wanted to say about the Epstein thing, is that a lot of the people who I watch on YouTube who talk about these political things, it's kind of like everything is a big deal. Every tweet is a big deal. Everybody who gets upset about this or that or the other thing, it's like a big deal. Every day is like a breaking news. But then ultimately, when you take that bird's eye view, but you kind of step back and you like the big picture, and it's like, well, the terrible shit is still happening. He's still in that position of power. His horrific people that he's put in power are still in power. The awful, disgusting things are still happening. Tom, disgusting villain, cartoon looking guy, sounding like he's got cotton balls in his mouth. He's got bricks in his brain. Talking about you can just, based on somebody's appearance, you can snatch them up off the street and basically put them in a concentration camp. And I'm like, who the fuck has power to do something, is going to do something? So I can just do my little video, like go out and vote.
So what I need everybody to do is get out and vote. Get out and vote.
Don't vote for the stupid motherfuckers. Protect yourself, protect your family. Try to make your money. And avoid disgusting bigots. And, I'm just waiting. Like, is this thing? Is 300 people in the heart of MAGA land and them seeing with their own eyes that Trump and his cronies don't give a fuck about them? Is that going to help? Because once somebody starts to do a movement, I do believe it's going to break apart from the inside, but it has to start somewhere. And unfortunately, tragedy is a motivator. And it's just so insane to me. It's like, it's kind of like that lady who was like, and it became like a thing, like, oh, the face-eating leopard. Well, don't talk bad about leopards. The face-eating monster that I decided to lay in bed with is going to eat my face. I can't believe it. Like the story that Trump told about the lady who saved the snake and brought the snake in her house, and then when the snake bit her, she was like, oh my God, how could you do this? And he was like, what do you mean? You knew I was a snake when you picked me up. And he told that story, which to me was him telling a whole story about himself. It's like the duper's delight. It's like the criminal who, like Brian Kohlberger or any of these criminals, Wendy Adelson, they do the crime and they go back to observe it. Whether in Wendy's case, it was because she just had to go see, well, hey, I really need to know that it really happened. And maybe she even wanted to catch a glimpse of it. Brian Kohlberger taking selfies and just like basking in the deliciousness of his horrificness. I could have sworn when Donald Trump was caught on that Access Hollywood video saying, I'm a star, I can do what I want, I just kiss, I don't ask, I just get attracted to a beautiful woman, boom, I just grab him by the grab him by the I heard that shit and I was like, oh, that motherfucker is done. He is done. Nobody's going to hire them. No honorable person of integrity with respect who cares about human beings would ever elect that sick motherfucking rapist into office, right? Wrong. Look at that. Donald Trump, Access Hollywood tape on October 7th, 2016, 1 month before the United States presidential election that year, the Washington Post published a video and article about then presidential candidate Donald motherfucking asshole scumbag Trump and television host Billy Bush having a lewd conversation about women in September of 2025. And there's that scumbag, and there's this asshole. Trump and Bush were on a bus on their way to film an episode of Access Hollywood, a show owned by NBC Universal. In the video, Trump described his attempt to seduce a married woman and indicated he might start kissing a woman that he and Bush were about to meet. He added, quote, I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab 'em by the pussy. You can do anything. Many commentators and lawyers describe such an action as sexual assault, which is an act of sexual abuse in which one is intentionally sexually touches another person without that person's consent, or coerces or physically forces a person to engage in a sexual act against their will. It is a form of sexual violence that includes child sexual abuse, groping, rape, drug facilitation. Others argued that the remarks were an assertion that sexual consent is easier to obtain for the famous and the wealthy. Really? I don't even wait. You can do anything. You can do anything. Grab them by the pussy. And when you're a star, they let you
do it, you can do anything. News of the recording broke 2 days before the second 2016 presidential debate between Trump and Republican nominee and Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton. And it didn't give a fuck, and they didn't give a fuck. And the scumbag rapist was voted in some motherfucking how. And then they voted him in again, or he stole it. But even if he stole it, there was still people who voted for him. And he still has a base. And he still has support. And even now, Megyn Kelly and Laura Ingraham, both absolute disgusting, vile, bigot, racist, xenophobic, KKK, fucking MAGA cult bitches, fake ass blonde bitches with plastic surgery, up there talking about Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi's the problem. Really? Pam Bondi was put there because she will ass kiss, bend over, take it up the ass, do whatever the fuck she's told to do, that Trumpy tells her to do, which is exactly what every other motherfucker who's in there is there for. Not a single person is making their own choices by their own self. They are doing exactly what they're told to do, or the people that Trump told them do what the fuck they said. That's what they're doing. They're not making their own independent choices. They are definitely not making things choices against Trump's desires. I mean, the fact that they are so blatantly stupid, like you really are that dumb that you don't know that Trump told her to say nothing to see here. Just like, let me just flashy. Oh wait, I don't have some. Oh yeah, this is what they're doing. They're like, remember Men in Black? No, that was, what are you talking about, Epstein? That was a Democrat hoax. Boom. That was a Democrat hoax. I guarantee. Now, I hope I'm wrong. Maybe I'll be wrong. If I'm wrong, woohoo! I'll go bang the gong of being wrong, because if I'm wrong this time, that means that maybe Donald Trump will go down. However, I think that this outrage is fake. And it's short-lived. And just like Trump said when he was questioned, or actually Bondi was questioned about, was Epstein in some kind of agency? And Trump jumps in with the whole, like, are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? That creep? That creep who was your best friend because you were just as creepy, if not creepier. And side note, how creepy is it that the reason they broke up was not because of any of those things, but because Epstein took Trump to see this like beachside estate or something that he was planning to purchase, and Trump went behind his back and bought it. And that was what the rift was about. And that's why Epstein stopped liking Trump. It was never the fact that Trump would set up men he knew to take the fall for, obviously men who were scumbags anyway, who either were cheating on their wives or were willing to do so, and then he would like have sex with their wives, and this was just some sick thing that he liked to do. That didn't bother Epstein, and I'm sure all the young girls, like, people are saying the reason that when Elon said Trump is in the files, that was the equivalent of saying Trump is a PDF. He is a, child abuser, because that's what was happening, and those were minors. And so obviously if he was hanging out and going there and doing that stuff, and we already know that because he was doing those things to the girls in the beauty pageants, and he bragged about it on Howard Stern, and there's recordings of it. He bragged about the fact that he could walk in on them and see them half naked and stuff.
Well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. You know, I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like a
everything is
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
Reports from Trump Tower. Carl? It is.
She's now got the big phony. She wanted to get some furniture. I said, I'll show you where they have some nice furniture. I took out furniture. I moved on her like a bitch, but I couldn't get there. And she was married. And all of a sudden, I see her. She's now got the big phony. She's totally changed her look.
Your girl's hot as in the purple.
Whoa!
Yes!
Whoa!
Yes, the Donald has scored!
Whoa!
Oh, my man! Wait, you gotta look at me when you get out of your life.
That is very.
Will you give me the thumbs
Look
up?
at you. You are a. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the. I can do anything.
You look legs. All I can see is the legs.
No, it looks good.
Come on, shorty.
Ooh, nice legs, huh?
Oof, get out of the way, huh? That's good legs. Go ahead.
It's always good if you don't fall out of the bus. Like Ford, Gerald Ford, remember?
Down below. Pull the half.
Hello, how are you? Hi.
Trump, how are
nice seeing you. Terrific.
Pleasure to meet you.
Terrific. You know Billy Bush?
How are you?
Nice to see you. How you doing, Ariane?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Are you ready to be a soap star?
We're ready. Let's go. Make me a soap star.
Very shortly after the tape went public, Mr. Trump himself issued a statement in which he says this was locker room banter, a private conversation that took place many years ago. Bill Clinton has said far worse to me on the golf course, not even close. I apologize if anyone was offended. Trump insiders say this is the first time during the campaign they can remember him actually apologizing. And the Clinton campaign has weighed in, only with a tweet at this point. They just wrote, "This is horrific. We cannot allow this man to become president." We are 2 days away from the second debate of the presidential candidates. It'll be on Sunday in St. Louis. Pretty fair bet this will be one of the issues. Brett? Carl, thanks very much.
And oh my God, they were so beautiful, and how they would fawn over him. I mean, he was caught in recording saying these things. This shit is going back decades now. So the fact that his base would act like they're surprised that he would suppress the things that he did, the fact that they ever tried to make it seem like it was anything other than what it is probably a bunch of powerful people who some are Democrats, some are Republicans, some are probably not even American, some are maybe not in politics at all. And, the fact is that all of them are criminals. And if you really cared about criminals and children, then and sex trafficking and solving crimes and justice, then all of the people, it's not like release a list, it's go arrest those people. That's how the list should start to be released, is that people should start to getting arrested. She did this, he did this, he did this, she did this. And that's how people could find out. And then they can have trials because there's due process. You know what I'm talking about? Like, that's what should be happening, not some list of names to just publish just so people can then go being harmed or something like that, but like continue with doing due process. But the whole reason why I'm like fuck watching trials and even like talking about politics, I'm just going to do it in this kind of way where I'm just going to talk about it the way it hits me, because the whole thing is such a sick and twisted game. And okay, so there's some MAGA influencers who are mad. So what? They don't really matter. Trump certainly doesn't care about what they think. He and the people that he put into these positions of power are the people who have the positions of power, not their frickin' opinion. And what does he care what they think? The whole point of what he's doing is to dismantle anybody's ability to get him out of power. Once he has put himself in, made himself a dictator, he's got a completely corrupt, except for like two of the Supreme Court justices that are absolutely corrupt. Like, there is no more system that it used to be. Are the foundations of it destroyed? You know, like going back to the Texas horrors, some of the things that were there are literally not there at all. Even the terrain is different. And a bunch of people were talking about, oh, we're going to rebuild. Why the fuck would you rebuild in a disaster zone? Maybe it won't happen for another 35 years, but maybe it will. Why would you live somewhere that multiple times in decades, in my lifetime, have been flooded and people have died? Why would you want to even live in a graveyard and a danger zone? You know? Why would you put your family at risk and your loved ones at risk like that? Why would you do that? I don't know. And or why would you want to live in a place that's like that? And the politicians would literally sit on a pile of $30 billion slush rainy day fund. So they could probably live off the interest, and they're probably peeling it away. And, you know, like they did, they literally got up there saying that they will not take this money because they do not want to be bound by whatever Obama or Biden and regulations and shit that they were gonna, you know, we're gonna be forced to do your bidding if we take your money. And yet they took the money and just gave themselves raises. Just certain people. That is so corrupt. And all of those dead people are on them. And on Trump. And on all the people in his administration who, Kristi Noem, who let this happen, who wanted this to happen, who's glad it's happening, and who's patting themselves on the back about it happening because they're like, we did a great job. On to the next. And all of these so-called MAGA people who are pissed and stuff, believe me, they are so deep in the Kool-Aid that it won't take but a day or maybe a week, and they will be singing whatever tune they were brainwashed into singing, and they'll move on from the Epstein files. And I guarantee you, the people who were clapping and screaming about your report, Bondi, is not enough, and blaming Bondi, and even this Bombingo guy, Don Bombingo, and, you know, oh, we're going to quit. You're not quitting. You're going to be right back there Monday morning doing the same old shit, refreshed, and like, oh, I guess the whole thing is that every single one of those motherfuckers was put there by Trump to do his bidding and nothing else. And if you don't think that they're not going to want to shut their fucking mouth and do exactly what he says, then you are a fool. And if you believe that this outrage, this performative pretend, what do they call it? What is that when you, like, something signaling? It's like self-righteous, like morality signaling, virtue signaling. They're going to pretend for 24 to 72 hours that they give a fucking fuck about those children. And when they realize that when they keep pushing, all they're doing is putting their fucking MAGA cult leader in danger, they are going to fold like a lawn chair in a fucking 30-foot wall of water. Or like that guy who lived on the river all his life said, it's not a wall of water. It doesn't come in one wall. It comes in stages and in steps. And at any point along the way, you should be monitoring it. You could have systems that ring as soon as it raises to a certain level. You start with the monitors way at the top, and you go all the way up along, and you have a connected system for contacting. And then I found out that one of the women who died on Saturday, it was 24 hours after the whole thing had started, and they were not warned. Hey, you guys could be in danger. And that lady went to bed with no fear that she was going to die, and she died, along with hundreds of people. But I think that this MAGA outrage is just a virtue signaling puff of hot air, and it's going to die down the second that they get the thing about MAGA is that as soon as they realize that Donald Trump did something wrong, or that anything might make him in trouble, or he might catch, they don't want him to catch it. They people push this whole Teflon Don thing, and even people who supposedly want him to get finally held accountable push this, like, oh, he's untouchable. No, he's fucking not. He's a fucking fat, stinky old goddamn criminal who has harmed countless people and is still doing so now. And he has and how the fuck can these people actually claim to be surprised or to care about sexual abuse when Pete Hegseth has raped people? And I can't think of them all. Oh, there was the Matt Walls. Wait, what was his name? Matt Gates. He had also like a 17-year-old girl that he was paying, like sexually trafficking and abusing and raping like teenagers. They knew that, and they were trying to vote him in. He ended up going. There's others that have also harmed women, and they don't care. They make up every excuse to blame it on the woman, to say it's a lie, to say, oh, she's trying to get money from him, or like he's some kind of god, even though he has been for decades admitting what kind of abuser he is. Even when he testified, he admitted. He was questioned about, did you say this? And he said, yeah, well, it's true. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. Like, well, but yeah, I am a star. And they like that about him. So I believe zero that they give a fuck that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. I think they give zero fucks about children being hurt. I think they get the only reason that it's like maybe they thought that they thought Clinton was in there, and I mean, they thought maybe some Democrats were in there. Did they really think that there weren't going to be Republicans in there? Did they really think there weren't going to be rich, wealthy people from all walks of life not in there? Because that's what those sick fucking motherfuckers do. So it's like either you want justice because you actually care about people being hurt and you want it to be stopped and exposed so that they can be held accountable, and that the people who've been harmed can start some type of healing or continue their healing. But you want to use it only to hurt a specific political party, which means you don't actually care about the people who were harmed. You just want to use it as some kind of tool. And now we're supposed to believe that because the person that it would hurt the most is covering it up, and that's your guy. But like, how did you not know that already? That's the whole thing about this whole feigned outrage about every single thing. Like, oh, this feigned outrage about what's happening with the immigration. It's like, we already knew that he already was talking about mass deportations of millions and millions of people. Well, there's not millions and millions and millions of fucking criminals. So unless you believe that every person who comes here from another country is a criminal, you would know that what he's saying is fucking outrageous and horrific. And the fact that you're pretending that you didn't know that is fucking crazy to me. And everything that he did and said, he said he wanted to demolish and dismantle the Department of Education and all of government. And that's what he's doing, and that's what's happening. So why are you pretending you're outraged? It just doesn't make sense. It's like, how hypocritical are you? How stupid, how blind, how dumb, how, like, but the fact of the matter is, for every person who's trapped in a cult, not every, but for 4 people who are trapped in a cult, there are, for some people, like, a few years ago, I was watching, like, a few videos, different channels who were talking about, like, Scientology and the cult that is, and the brainwashing that goes into it and stuff like that. And then, so there was this one woman, and her job was to go to the theater to watch the Scientology movie that people who had left Scientology put out, to talk about how bad Scientology is. And the Scientologists were like, go watch that movie so that you can record it with this pair of eyeglasses that actually has a recording device on it. And they told her, at this one part, we want you to leave because we don't want you to see that part. And she said she went to it twice for some reason. I don't remember why. I don't know if it was a bad recording or whatever it was. They were like, we want you to record it again. So she said the second time, she was like, fuck it, I'm just going to stay. And she said that as she was watching, she was like, she knew these people. She knew the things that they were saying was true. And the fact that she knew them and she knew what they were saying was true, it opened up this spark in her mind. And, like, that's what the point that I'm getting at. Like, for people who are in a cult, the way the people who are in a cult, who are trapped in that brainwashed state, the way that they get out of it is that it just starts with one thing that they, like, it's like one tear in the fabric of the fucking fantasy delusion that they have been swimming in. The tear in the fabric and the light that's shining through the truth. Not always, but for the ones who are willing, the ones who are like, wait, what? That thing that was supposed, like, they believe they're in this bubble of truth. Everything has to be true. So when they see the tear in the fabric of their reality, that can become the thread that unravels it all. So for some of these MAGA people, I'm sure that there's at least a handful of these motherfuckers who give a fuck about kids. Probably not enough for the wave to get Trump out. Maybe there's enough Republicans in the positions of power that would care. But again, you've got to remember that the people who are in those files, whether it's a list or just a bunch of files that have words on them, and some of those words are names. And if you were to take out those names and put them on another file, then that would become a list. Whether they are clients or in between go middle manager guys, or the broker or the victim. Some kind of financial contributor, and then, you find out. But if you're someone like Donald Trump likes to find shit on people and make shit on people, make up shit on people, plant shit on people, entrap people into shit, and then use that as to his own leverage. And so, of course, that's what he would do. The whole fact that they were pushing that this whole list was a thing that they were going to reveal is bullshit. What I can't believe is that they didn't pluck out the names of the Democrats or the people they don't like and at least expose them. That part is weird. It's like, if you wanted to say, if you want to protect Trump, is it literally so interwoven into like every other line that you can't, like, to me, I don't see why, or maybe because they feel like if they pluck those guys out, that maybe those guys might tell the truth. But if everything you're doing is based on lies, I don't know. Or, why are they not plucking them out? Because they want to be able to have leverage and use it and hold it against them, extort them, bribe them, get whatever power they can get them to sign and vote whatever way they want, get them to shut up about things that they otherwise would complain about, and so on and so on. So of course he's going to want to hold that list of names close to his chest so he can use it to abuse everybody that's in there. And I don't know. It shocks me that the MAGA people give a fuck about it, because that's exactly what he's always been about. So wouldn't they be like, woohoo, we got the list of people and we can manipulate you? And I'm sure that that's what they're going to realize. Oh, okay. This is what we're going to do. And this is what it means to us now, because that's what Daddy said. And that's what Daddy told us. And they can lick his nasty, stinky ass, which is what they love.
GetLoveDreamingPeach.com.
Anyone who is reading, writing, or listening to anything about the Jeffrey Epstein case or any case involving children, please be cognizant and mindful of these words. Quote, underage women. There is no such thing as an underage woman. An underage person is a child. Quote, child prostitute. Children cannot consent. Children cannot agree willingly and consensually to exchanging money for sexual favors. They are rape victims, sexual assault victims, and survivors. Quote, sex with minors or underage women, etc. It is rape. Call it rape. Quote, non-consensual sex. Quote, it is a polite and weasel wording for, quote, rape. And rapists don't deserve politeness. Their victims deserve validation of what they've been through. And words matter. How we speak shapes the narrative. Just like when people say slaves and masters, when it's actually abusers, traffickers, and enslaved victims. How you word what you say matters greatly. So speak correctly. All right, that's it. My eyes are burning, and I'll see you in the next one. CatLoveDreamingPeach.com